The NBA trade market is insane. We're currently in the midst of the NBA Finals, and out of nowhere, this happened.
Breaking news here on SportsCenter. Big trade in the NBA. The Grizzlies are trading Desmond Bane to Orlando, sources tell ESPN Shams Charania.
And well, the Memphis Grizzlies are getting 4 first-round picks, a pick swap, and 2 rotation-level players as well, which is a part of the deal that people aren't even mentioning. 4 first-round picks and playable players for a guy who has never even been an All-Star. And the only reason we aren't completely shocked is because we saw this exact thing happen just last year with another team in the Eastern Conference. And I would understand if the immediate reaction from almost everyone to this trade was, how many picks for Desmond Bane? And that reaction is right. But after you compose yourself, the next thought should be, how good are the Orlando Magic going to be? Because let's not forget, the 47 games they won in 2024 with Paolo Banchero in just his 2nd season. And the only reason they dropped off this year was because you had a combined 110 games missed by their 3 best players. Even without Desmond Bane, this Magic team is a top 4 or 5 seed in the Eastern Conference when healthy. And more importantly, the Magic just told us what we already know. The Eastern Conference is wide open and everyone recognizes that. When the Indiana Pacers traded for Pascal Siakam, no one thought that trade would lead them to being in the Eastern Conference Finals in back-to-back seasons and now the NBA Finals. But it was the difference maker, and Orlando have seen what a difference that made for Indy and recognized with Paolo Banchero, with Franz Wagner, Jalen Suggs, the roster they have, they're closer to making the NBA Finals than most people can imagine. And now after trading for Desmond Bane, they just got that much closer. Because when you look at the 6 teams that finished above Orlando last year, Cleveland could make some big changes, for better or for worse. Boston will be without their best player alongside Drew Holiday and maybe even more. The Knicks just fired their head coach, have not found a replacement, and have been turned down by pretty much every single team in the league when requesting to interview their head coaches. Dame will miss the entire year for Milwaukee. The Pistons are still a move away from really competing, and then there's the Pacers. As of now, those are the teams who finished above the Magic last year, and unless you think the Chicago Bulls or a team like that is going to overtake them, the Magic were already in prime position to leap a few of these teams. And now, they just added the one missing piece they had been crying out for these last couple of seasons: shooting. Yeah, you can question if Desmond Bane is an all-star, if he is worth the picks, if they need another playmaker next to him, but what can't be questioned is the shooting. 41% from 3 over his career. And not just any 41%, this is someone who can shoot in every way possible. Pull-up threes, off the catch, relocating, in transition, you name it, he can do it. And for a team that has been desperate for any kind of shooting, they didn't just bring in a decent shooter. They brought in one of the best shooters in the league, who is also capable of doing much more than that. And for a team that can compete right now, sometimes you just have to give up an extra pick and a pick swap to get what you need. And at least in comparison to a move like Mikal Bridges, it is so clear why they needed Bane, and he will be maximized on this team. They aren't bringing him in to spot up and take a few threes. They are bringing him in to be the primary perimeter creator for this team, to play alongside 2 of the best young players in the league, having 3 guys who are all capable of averaging nearly 25 points a game, 3 guys who are all capable of creating for themselves and others, and 3 guys who also compete on defense. And if you want more competing on defense, how about the 4th guy who I haven't even mentioned, Jalen Suggs? Yes, at just 24 years old, the box score numbers might not catch a lot of people's eyes, but when you think of guys like Derek White, Drew Holiday, Andrew Nembhard, what they have done on finals teams recently, think of Jalen Suggs as someone who is that kind of defender and also has the skill set to go along with it, despite being a shaky shooter sometimes. But this is also the knock-on effect of of trading for a guy like Bane. Suggs goes from someone who you were relying on to be the primary perimeter shot maker. You go from relying on Franz and Paolo to take a large number of threes despite it not being their game. Now all of a sudden you have someone to take that burden off all three of those guys. Now, obviously, he's not Steph Curry. At least one of those guys, ideally two, are going to have to be respectable from three-point range next season to make the Magic a legitimate contender. But at the very least, you are now giving two of the best young players in the league a level of added spacing and playmaking that should take their already great games to a different level. And let's just talk more about Bane himself, because I mentioned the 41% three-point shooting, and I know everyone will mention the fact he's not even an all-star. I mean, I mentioned it myself, but if you look at the season before last, nearly 24 points per game, 5.5 assists, good efficiency, elite shooting numbers. At his best, Bane has been an all-star level player, and in the Eastern Conference, well, he might get that opportunity. But regardless of if he's an all-star or not, it's just his complementary skills alongside Paolo and Franz at his age to go along with a contract that decreases each year. That is what is so exciting and why Orlando pulled the trigger on a trade like this. I mean, Orlando did not have someone who could shoot like this last year. He gets the pass from Williams, who comes through to set the screen, and look, just that moment where MPJ has his hands down, Bane pulls from 30 feet like it's nothing. And this is what he does consistently. He does not need much space or much time. If you set a screen for him and the defender is caught sleeping for even a second, he will pull that three, and more often than not, he's gonna make it as well. Or how about a bit of self-creation, this time with Aaron Gordon in front of him. Freezes him like he's gonna drive before the cross-back left, and the step-back jumper is money. And it's not as though he's just a shooter either. You don't average nearly 24 points a game on that kind of efficiency if all you can do is shoot. He's also able to leverage that shooting ability to drive, using that strength he has and that craft around the rim to finish at a solid rate. In addition to that, you get the mid-range pull-ups and just an entire package as a scorer that goes beyond just providing spacing. This is without even mentioning the playmaking. And the best part about all of this, everything he does best is complementary. He can work alongside one or two ball handlers and still get his game off whilst helping those guys thrive as well. And if you're wondering why I haven't mentioned much on the Memphis side of things, there is just so much unknown over what Memphis could do now. No question, this is an incredible return for Desmond Bane, but obviously if they are going to keep Ja and Jaren, it would make no sense to have made this trade without the intention of making another trade. And I think Memphis have something up their sleeve that we're just going to have to wait and see. And if you want to hear me continue to talk about the rest of the trades that are about to go down, subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Dropping a like would be cool. Most importantly, have a great day. Bye.